Well, hey everyone, it's Sean again, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about this section in chapter 10. Chapter 10 is the idols of sickness, and this section, section 3, is the God of sickness. And man, it's a pretty powerful chapter, a pretty powerful section here because it's going to be talking about the sick mind and all the idols the gods that we make up as a substitution for God, that we make up from this sick mind, and it's powerful. So pay attention to it because it's really really good in the way that it's explaining to us what we're all these things that we're making up as a substitution for God, for truth, for reality. And this illusionary gods and idols that we make up, and then we give them all this power. So I'm probably going to do 3 videos on this section because I want to keep the videos fairly short, so that way, if you want to, you can review them too. So Jesus starts out by saying, I'm not going to repeat every line in this section, but I'm going to hit on the most important parts, which are most of it. He starts out by saying, when you think you are attacking yourself, it is a sure sign that you hate what you think you are. Those are those self-judgments that we have about ourselves because, we made this self up, and then we hate what we make. And this, and only this, can be attacked by you. What you think you are can be very hateful, and what this strange image makes you do can be very destructive. So it's just Jesus telling, it's just an image of ourself that we make up. And that's an image of judgment. If you really think about it, this image that we call the body, the personality, self, the self that seems to be separate from our source, it's just an image. Like everything in this world is an image in our mind. But we give this image so much power. Just like if we were watching a movie on a screen and the character in a movie we identify with, then all of a sudden we give that character, that image, all the seeming meaning and power and the power to make us feel angry and hateful or good or bad or whatever that is. We're giving life to something that doesn't have any life. And so it's, he says this strange image, what this strange image makes you do can be very destructive. And look at all the things that we do to ourselves. We've seen so many examples of other people, their destructive nature, what they do to others, and all the destruction they cause. Nobody would do anything hateful to anybody else unless they really hated themselves. And they're trying to get rid of that hate by projecting on the other person and justifying what they do to them. So that's where it comes from, is that self-hatred. Yet the destruction is no more real than the image, although those who make idols do worship them. The idols are nothing, but their worshipers are the sons of God in sickness. So these idols that we make up, they're just, it's like the worshipers are the sons of God in sickness. He's talking about each of us who thinks we are an individual, even though we are all of the Son of God in His wholeness. Here we believe we are this separate individual. And Jesus refers to us as sons of God. He referred to, I think, himself that 2,000 years ago. Or all the people on the planet, as sons of God. Because metaphorically here in this dream of separation, he was reminding us of our true nature. God would have them released from their sickness and return to His mind. He will not limit your power to help them because He has given it to you. Do not be afraid of it because it is your salvation. So the power, he's saying that we have the power to help our brothers because that's the power of our minds, of our whole minds, of our holy minds, that we all share the same mind. We all share the same life, the same spirit. And so he's reminding us that's the power we were all given, and we can help our brothers by sharing that power. Don't be afraid of it, because for whatever insane reason we are afraid of it, because we think, well, what will happen to me, the individual, the personality, if I do share that, if I do recognize that and accept that. and we're scared we'll actually lose power or something. I don't know. It's an insane belief, but that comes from that strange image that we make up about ourselves. So, to remind you here, when he says, do not be afraid of it because it is your salvation. So our salvation, again, as Jesus repeats in the chorus, we'll find our salvation in our brother, because as we share it, then we'll know it. And so that's why he reminds us that that helps us reestablish that connection to our brother by recognizing our salvation is in our brother. And the more we reject them, then we're rejecting our own salvation. And the more we accept them the way they are, the way they were created, then we are accepting our own salvation, our own value, our own creation as we were created, ourself as we are created, of the same source. So he continues, what comforter, and it's capital C, comforter, he's talking about the Holy Spirit, what comforter can there be for the sick children of God except his power through you? Heal your brothers simply by accepting God for them. That simple little line, heal your brothers simply by accepting God for them. Even though they may not be accepting God for themselves, what Jesus is asking us here, just accept God for them, by be willing to recognize it. And we couldn't do that unless we're also willing to accept and recognize God for ourselves too. So our salvation is in our brother by accepting God for them. We are recognizing in them what is also in us. That's how we find our salvation. By saying, well, I am of God, but you got a ways to go. That's rejecting it, and that's not accepting it for them. And all Jesus asks them to do, just accept God for them. That's the way we heal them. Because now we're no longer judging them based upon what they're doing, because we understand where they're coming from. But we see them as they truly are, because now we can see ourselves in them as we truly are. Your minds are not separate, and God has only one channel for healing because he has but one Son. God's remaining communication link, capital C communication, capital L link, for, again, another name for the Holy Spirit. So God's remaining communication link with all his children joins them together and them to him. So the Holy Spirit, again, that's that not only communication link between all of us, but it joins all of us at the level of the mind. Remember, this is all given to us at the level of the mind. It's not talking about the form, even though it can have us use the form to awaken from this dream of separation. The Course is giving to us to remind us that it speaks to us at the level of the mind. So be aware, this is the level of cause. And so that's where the Holy Spirit is speaking to us from. And that's where we're receiving the guidance from, is in the mind. To be aware of this is to heal them, because it is the awareness that no one is separate, and so no one is sick. So when we're recognizing the whole mind, that we all are, we're recognizing that person as whole, that even if they are claiming to be sick, or their expressions are of a sick mind, and their body may be sick, we're willing to recognize that their true nature cannot be sick. It is of that perfect love, and the perfect mind, that whole mind, the holy mind, can't be sick because it is of that love. To believe that a son of God can be sick is to believe that part of God can suffer. That's kind of crazy. Perfect love can suffer? I don't think so. Love cannot suffer because it cannot attack. And so, attack is going to always bring about suffering. So what are we attacking? We're only attacking what we think we are, because we hate what we think we are. So do not side with sickness in the presence of a son of God, even if he believes in it. For your acceptance of God in him acknowledges the love of God he has forgotten. So again, Jesus reminded us, just don't join that person in their sickness. Choose to join them in their holiness, in their innocence, in their perfection as God created us. And by doing so, we can recognize our own sinlessness. So we don't join our brothers in guilt, because that would be saying that not only they are guilty, but we're guilty too. So we're choosing to join them in their holiness, in their innocence, even if they don't believe it. The Holy Spirit said, don't worry about that. I'll take care of the rest. All he's asked us to do is to see them as they are created by their Creator, and so that we will know ourselves as we are created by our Creator. And only then can we possibly know that. If we're not willing to see them as that, how can we possibly know it ourselves? Your recognition of him as part of God reminds him of the truth about himself, which he is denying. So if we don't recognize it, we're denying that not only for him, but we're denying that for ourselves too. But by recognizing it for him, we're recognizing it for ourselves also. Would you strengthen his denial of God and thus lose sight of yourself? Or would you remind him of his wholeness and remember your Creator with him? So this is a way of, that saying in the Course, Jesus says, as you see them, you see yourself. As you think of them, you think of yourself. So that works both ways. So if we're denying God in them, we're denying God in ourselves. But if we're accepting God in them, we're accepting God for ourselves. It seems so simple, and it really is. Yet, the resistance that we have to that is what we got to be aware of, so that we can finally, overcome that. And just that, remember, truth is simple. And the ego's always going to take truth and make it very complicated. So, to continue, to believe a son of God is to worship the same idol he does. God created love, not idolatry. So that's the God of sickness. So as long as we believe that another person is sick, we're worshiping a God of sickness, that we can be sick, that God can be sick, because look what God created. And God must have made a mistake, created imperfection. This is a good one. All forms of idolatry are caricatures of creation, taught by sick minds too divided to know that creation shares power and never usurps it. So the caricature, all these idols that we make up, and there are seemingly countless here in this world, whether it could be money, it could be fame, fortune, titles, positions, technology. There are so many different idols. They're all there. We make them up and we give them a power they don't have, a power over us, because we want to believe that they can give us the power that we gave them. That doesn't make any sense. Sickness is idolatry because it is the belief that power can be taken from you. So, sickness is idolatry because it is the belief that power can be taken from you. So, and it's like, all right, let me get this straight. We're worshiping these idols, and then we give them a power that we a life that they don't have, and then we're afraid they're going to take the power from us. Man, that's crazy. But that's what we do with our idols. That's why we worship them. Why we worship something other than God, that unless we believe that we can get something from it, the very thing that we gave to it, that we think now we have to give because now we no longer have it. God is insane. Yet this is impossible because you are part of God, who is all power. A sick God must be an idol, made in an image of what its maker thinks he is. So, these images are, these idols that we make up in our image. What does that sound like? God of the world, maybe, God of religion, a vengeful God, an angry God, a God of punishment who's out to get us, a God that acts curiously just like us. Yep, that would be made in an image of what his maker thinks he is. And so we make up a God that is in our image. Even though the Bible said God created us in his image and likeness, apparently we made up a God in our image and likeness. This is a perfect description of what an idol is, a God of sickness. And then we give it the same belief that what we think we are, we project onto that image, and make it, well, that's, God is, is vengeful and angry, and don't disobey God, or God will punish you. And then we go about punishing ourselves, and then say God is punishing me. It's all just an image that we made up in our minds, and then we give it all this power that it doesn't have. It's no different from watching a movie on a screen and believing that it somehow has power over us, or that the images on the screen are going to do something to us, that they're more powerful than us. It's just an image that we made up in our minds. And to conclude, and that is exactly what ego does perceive in a son of God, a sick God, self-created, self-sufficient, very vicious, and very vulnerable. And this is, that's what the ego does. It's perceiving the Holy Son of God, of which we all are. And again, there's only one Holy Son of God, and we're all it, all of us in one of its many, many disguises. But the ego would have us perceive that the Holy Son of God is separate, and now, self-created, self-sufficient, very vicious, and very vulnerable. Because, well, we're separate from our source. We're separate from all power. And so we're vulnerable. And so the ego says, it's a very clever attempt of the ego to make itself into God, to replace God in our minds. And that's what we do. We worship a God of vengeance, God of an angry God, and an insane God. And so, and then we're so vigilant for defending that. That's insane. We're defending an insane, sick God that we made up in our minds, and we're very vigilant for that, instead of being vigilant for God and His kingdom, for God, the God of perfect love, perfect happiness, perfect peace. And so it's incredibly clever of the ego to keep our minds kind of stuck in that worshiping idols, always something outside of us. That's something that these idols can give us that we think we lack. And so we even though we're giving it the meaning it has for us, but not recognizing that. So I'm going to end this video here, and I'll continue in the next one, and with this section, because like I said, it may take about 3 videos. So anyway, I hope this helps. And if you have any comments, questions about it, please put them down in the comment section, or if you have suggestions for what you'd like me to cover, please put that in there too. And so y'all have a great day, and be good to each other, okay? And I'll see you in the next video.